Hartland. Act 1, Scene 1. At Rise, lights up in Matt's artist studio/loft. Messy. Futon, hot plate, canvases everywhere, cans of paint, and easel. Cal is in bed. He is a handsome man in his 40s. He is also naked. A sheet covers the lower half of his body. Someone, under the sheet, is obviously performing oral sex on him. Between his moans of pleasure, Cal is quietly saying,
13 times 12. Oh my God, is 13 is 169. 13 times, oh God, if 14 is 182. 13 times 15 is 195. 13 times 16 is 208. 13 times.
The lights fade. Lights up on Birdie. Birdie is a woman in her 50s. Brassy, she's performing stand-up in a small club.
So here's a little secret for the ladies out there tonight. Do you know how to tell when a man is well hung? When you can just about slip your finger between the noose in his neck. And men are like snowstorms, aren't they? You never know when it's coming, how much you're going to get, and when it's coming, how many inches you'll get, and how long it'll stay. And you know what to call that insensitive bit of skin at the base of a penis? A man. Honestly, I think men are like blenders. You have one, but you're not really sure why. Oh, wait, I just remembered why we need men. Because vibrators can't mow the lawn.
Oh, 16 times 12 is, oh my God. 192, 16 times 13 is 208. 16 times 14 is 224. 16 times.
Matt, a good-looking man in his 20s, pokes his head out from under the sheet. At this point, we can't tell, but he is naked too.
Are you talking to me?
Me? No.
Are you sure you didn't say anything?
Not a word.
Oh.
Matt goes back under the sheet.
16 times 15 is 240. 16 times, oh God, 16 is 256. 16.
What do men and North Korea have in common? They're both ruled by dicks. And ever notice how much men and parking spaces have in common? All the good ones are either taken, handicapped, or too damn small. Why is it so hard for women to find men that are sensitive and caring and good looking? Because they already have boyfriends. And speaking of men with boyfriends, my son Matthew is gay. I'll be honest, at first I was upset. But now, I don't look at it as losing a daughter-in-law. I look at it as doubling my wardrobe.
Number 19K, oh my God, potassium. Number 20, CA, calcium. Number 21, SC, scandium. Number 22, TI, titanium. Number 22, vanadium.
I'd like to close tonight with a little story. A man dies and goes to heaven. And God says to the man, "Is there anything you would like to ask me?" And then the man says to God, "Hey God, so why'd you make women so beautiful?" And God said, "So you would love her." And then the man said, "But why'd you make women so dumb?" And then God said, "So she would love you." My name is Birdie. I'll be here at the Laugh Shack all week long. Thank you and good night.
Oh God, number 23 is arsenic. Oh, number 34, SC, selenium. Number 35, BR, chromium. Number, oh my God, 26, KR, krypton.
Matt once again comes up from under the sheet.
What did you say?
I didn't say anything.
You said krypton, I heard it. Clear as a bell.
Why am I saying krypton?
Well, that's what I would like to know.
The bedside telephone rings. Matt checks it.
Sorry, I gotta take this.
It's okay.
Matt answers the telephone. Lights up on Birdie, who is on her cell phone.
What's wrong?
Oh, why does something have to be wrong?
Because you're calling me at 1 in the morning.
What do you mean? It's barely 10 o'clock.
Birdie, how many times do I have to explain this to you? There are these things called time zones. When it's 10 o'clock in Seattle, it is 1 a.m. in New York City.
I thought it was 3 hours earlier in New York.
No, it's 3 hours later.
Oh, so I was confused. You know, I just got off stage and I'm still kind of pumped. I really slayed a midnight at the Laugh Shack.
That's nice.
You're in bed with someone, aren't you?
Why would you say that?
Maybe that butch tone of voice you're using? Oh, Bert, how many times do I have to tell you? How many times do I have to explain this to you?
As a matter of fact, someone is here.
Well, let me talk to him.
No,
Put him on now.
I will not put him on.
Why not, Daddy? Are you ashamed of me? Or him?
Do not embarrass me.
Would I do that?
You can't help yourself. It's for you.
No one knows I'm here.
It's my mother. She wants to talk to you.
What?
Please don't make me say it again.
Matt hands Cal the receiver.
Hello?
This is the mother, Bertie. Well, my name is really Bertha, but that's such a fat name, don't you think?
I suppose.
So everyone just calls me Bertie. You can call me Bertie too.
Okay, Bertie.
And what's your name?
It's Kale.
Is that your real name?
Why would I lie?
I don't know. You tell me. Why do men
Well,
lie?
I'm not lying. My name is Kale. I could show you my driver's license.
Kale. Like the lettuce?
It's a cabbage, actually, but I spell it with a C and not a K.
Your parents named you for a vegetable?
Actually, they named me for my grandfather, but come to think of it, late in life he had a stroke and turned into a vegetable.
And do you know my son's name?
His name? It's
Matt.
It's Pat.
It's Matt.
I mean Matt.
Oh, this has all the signs of a serious relationship. He's cute, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very cute.
Bertie, I told you not to embarrass me.
And how long have you known my son?
I don't know. I guess I've known him for about 4 hours.
Don't tell her that.
Ooh, slam bang, thank you, Sam.
Who's Sam? I thought your name was Matt.
It is.
Look, believe me, Bertie, look, I don't normally go home with a man when I first meet him.
Right. You know how many men it takes to screw in a light bulb? 1. Men will screw anything.
Look, it's not like that.
Oh, well, what's it like then?
What is she saying?
Where did you meet? The drive shaft, the ramrod, the manhole.
We didn't meet in a bar.
Well, I doubt you met at church.
Well, no, we actually met at a gallery opening.
Oh, so you're an art collector.
You know, I have friends who collect art. I'm a doctor.
Well, a doctor. You know, my son Matt is very
Do
smart.
not let her tell you that I could have been a doctor.
My daddy could have been a doctor.
Except I can't stand the sight of blood.
You know, when I turn my head to the right too fast, I get this deep pain in my neck. What do you suggest I do?
Don't turn your head to the right too fast.
This is medical advice?
Well, actually, Bertie, I'm no podiatrist.
Don't tell her that. She'll start in about her bunion.
Yeah, I have got this onion like you wouldn't believe.
Well, I'm sure I could recommend a good specialist in Seattle.
Very smooth.
This is not my first time at the rodeo.
I'm a stand-up comic, you know.
I didn't know that.
Perhaps you've heard of me?
Sorry, no.
I go just by one name, Bertie. Makes me stand out, you know, like Cher.
Or Gallagher,
Or Charo.
Blondie,
Liberace.
Bjork,
Fabio.
Madonna,
Sting.
Bono,
Twiggy.
Jewel,
Fabio.
RuPaul,
Sing.
Cappuccino.
Oh, damn. Okay, you win. I should know better than to play this game with a gay man. Well, considering you've known my son all of 4 hours, I guess there wasn't much time to talk about me. Besides, I'm sure his mouth was full.
I'm sure Matt was about to mention it.
Mention what?
So what church do you go to?
No, I don't really go to church.
Oh, That's not good.
You don't have to answer these questions.
I'm a recovering Catholic.
We're Episcopalians. That's kind of like Catholic light, except we don't kick out the gays.
Yeah.
We ordain them.
I've heard that.
Well, this has been lovely, Gail. You can put Maddie on back now.
Okay. Goodbye, Bertie.
What did you say to him?
I asked a few questions, that's all. Mother likes to know a little bit about the man her son is having sex with.
We're not having sex.
Right. Maddie, why do you lie to your mother?
Okay, fine, we were having sex.
Thought so. Slut.
Do you have a camera to get into my apartment?
I'm a mother. A mother doesn't need hidden cameras. A mother knows.
I'm still gonna check for a camera.
So, how was the vegetable in bed?
If I could get a chance to finish, then maybe I could tell you.
Ooh, he sounds like he'd be good.
So that's why you're calling me at 1 in the morning? To see if I'm having sex?
No, I'm calling to tell you that I'm coming to New York.
Why?
Your uncle got me booked into one of the comedy clubs there. It's like a tour of women comics or something.
You weren't planning on staying here, were you?
No, that rat trap, no way. I'm gonna stay somewhere nice.
Good. So when are you coming?
Well, Uncle Lou wasn't quite sure. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Goody.
Well, get back to what and who you were doing. And for heaven's sake, wear a condom.
Goodbye, Bertie.
Matt hangs up the phone, lights out on Bertie. Matt turns to Cal, who is now fully dressed.
Hey, I'm sorry about... What are you doing?
I need to get home.
Look, if it was my mother...
No, it's not Turkey. It's late. I should go.
Having a good time?
I'm just having a great time.
Caleb, you're never gonna find a cab in this neighborhood. Not at this hour.
Then I'll walk to the subway.
Are you crazy? Stay, please.
I can't. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thanks for telling my mother that we met in an art gallery and not the Ramrod.
It's no problem. Good night.
Cal exits.
Never see him again.
Blackout. Act 1, Scene 2. Lights up on the apartment. It's a few days later. Cal is in bed once again. Matt is under the sheets.
The Saxtons, Edward, the Confessor Harold II, the Normans. Oh my God, William the First, the second Henry the First, Stephen. Oh my God, the Plantagenets, Henry the Second, Richard. Oh God, Richard the Lion-Hearted.
So men and women speak a different language, don't you agree, ladies? For example, when a man says, "You're the only girl I've ever cared about," what he's really saying is, "You're the only girl who would have sex with me." And when a man says, "I don't know if I like her," what he really means is, "She won't sleep with me." Question: how much do you love me? Translation: I've done something really stupid and somebody's on their way over to tell you. And if he says, "I have something to tell you," well, what he's really saying, get tested.
Charles II, James II, William and good God, Mary, George I, George II, George III, George IV, William IV.
You miss Queen Anne.
What?
You forgot Queen Anne.
I'm sorry?
After William and Mary, but before George I, Queen Anne. You're naming the succession of British royalty, aren't you?
What made you say that?
Cale, I heard you. First it was multiplication tables, then the periodic chart, and now British monarchs?
Okay, you caught me.
What gives? I mean, I understand wanting to last longer, but I'm telling you, my job isn't going to make it through Elizabeth II.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Matt disappears under the covers and resumes what he is doing. Lights back up on Bertie at the nightclub.
And if he says, "She's kind of cute," what he's really telling you is, "Well, I wouldn't kick her out of bed, but a pillow over her face might be necessary." "I had a wonderful time last night" means, "Who are you?" And if he tells you, "I've been thinking a lot about you," what he's saying is, "You're not as attractive as when I was drunk."
Lights out on Bertie. Back to Cal, who's trying very hard not to speak. He struggles and eventually bursts into tears.
Stop! I'm sorry, Matt.
Cale, what is it?
I've got to go.
Hey, are you crying?
No. Yes,
Did I hurt you?
No, I'm fine. I just have to go.
Cal dashes out of the apartment. Matt puts on his overalls, then picks up a paintbrush and considers the canvas on the easel. The phone rings. Matt looks at the caller ID, then answers. Lights up on Bertie.
Hello, Bertie.
Well, that was a cheery greeting.
I was hoping that you were Kale.
I thought you two had a date tonight.
We did, it's already over.
Already? But it's only 6 o'clock there.
Time zones really stymy you, don't they? It's midnight in New York.
Did you want to let this man have a fight?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened.
Do you want to talk about it?
Not really.
I'm your mother. You can tell me anything.
It's personal.
Nothing shocks me, you know. I'm in show business.
Okay, Bertie, you're on. Did this ever happen to you? While you were performing. Yeah, that'll work, right. While you were performing oral sex, did the other person suddenly burst into tears?
Ah, a sex question. Too bad your father isn't around. God knows he had more sex than I ever did.
Bertie, please.
It's true. I only slept with him and he slept with everybody else.
And this is why I don't ask you questions. You have a way of always turning it around to be about you.
Fine. I'll answer your question. As a matter of fact, yes, Maddie, I did have a man burst into tears while performing oral sex on him.
No.
Yes, it was in high school. The boy's name was Peter.
How appropriate.
Peter Cox. That's right. Peter Cox.
You're making this up, right?
I am not. It was after a high school dance, Valentine's Day, I think.
And why do you think old Peter Cox started crying?
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe because I've never done it before. But, you know, probably because I was wearing braces.
On your legs?
Silly. On my teeth. They were both, though.
Your teeth?
My legs. My teeth were bucked. Keep up with the conversation, for heaven's sake.
Well, I'm not wearing any braces anywhere, so why would he cry?
There's only one explanation. Guilt.
Guilt? About what?
Obviously, he's married.
What?
Maddie, I know these things. Your father cheated on me for years.
Kale is not married.
Think about it. Has he ever spent the night?
No.
Have you ever been to his place?
No.
Have you ever met any of his friends?
No.
I'm telling you, the man is married.
No, I don't believe it.
Ask him.
I'm not gonna ask him.
Why? Because you're afraid your old mother's right?
No.
Too chicken?
Bertie, I hate when you do that. Fine, I'll ask him.
Good. Next time you see him.
If there is a next time.
Blackout. Act 1, Scene 3. The apartment, a few days later. Matt is painting. There's a knock at the door.
Just a minute.
Matt finishes the brushstroke, checks the peephole, sighs, and then opens the door. It is Kale. He is carrying a bottle of wine and a pizza box.
Oh?
Hi.
Hi. I didn't know you were coming over.
I probably should have called first.
Probably.
Look, I wasn't sure you'd pick up, and I come to say I'm sorry about the other night.
I've been known to reduce men to tears before, but never during a blowjob.
Pizza's getting cold, and mine's getting warm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here, come in.
I'm not interrupting anything.
No, I was ready to take a break.
Good. I don't know much about wine. I was 2 o'clock this afternoon at Goodyear.
Alrighty then. Any married women in the audience tonight? You have my deepest sympathy. Ladies, we've got 2 choices in life. You can stay single and be miserable, or get married and wish you were dead. Marriage is not a word, it's a sentence, a life sentence. You know, they say marriage is love. They also say love is blind. Therefore, marriage is an institution for the blind. I was too young when I got married. In fact, you know, I've started an organization called Marriage Anonymous. Whenever we find out that a young woman is thinking about getting married, we're going to send over a man in a dirty t-shirt and oversized boxer shorts who spends 3 days watching ESPN and drinking beer as he farts and farts all over her couch. That'll give her second thoughts.
back to Matt and Kale, who are now sitting on the floor sipping their wine.
Last piece of pizza. You want it?
Maybe I'll save it for breakfast. I love cold pizza for breakfast.
Me too.
I'll save it for you then.
So, is Birdie really a stand-up comic?
Unfortunately, yes.
Is there much of a comedy scene in Seattle?
You have to find something if you're indoors, it rains all the time.
Have you ever seen her perform?
Just once.
Why just once?
Do you know what it's like to sit in a club and have drunks heckle your own mother?
You heckle her all the time.
Yeah, I know, but she's my mother. She tells this awful joke about me being gay.
Really?
Something about how she doesn't mind because she doubled her wardrobe or something, like I'm a drag queen.
Well, was she always a comic?
Only after my father died.
I was married for about 20 years. I'm proud to say I held out till my honeymoon. Yes, I was a virgin. Men like to marry virgins, probably because they can't stand criticism. After our wedding night, my husband said to me, "You know, since we first met, I've wanted to make love to you in the worst way." And I said, "Well, you succeeded." I'm not saying my husband was bad in bed, but I never blinked during foreplay. I never had time. We were happy for a while, but ladies, I'm telling you, don't think you can change a man, unless he's still in diapers. I did get my husband to stop biting his nails, though. I made him wear shoes. But as we got older, we drifted apart. See, that's the difference between a husband and a new dog. After a year, the dog's still excited to see you.
Isn't it a shame that we don't get to see our parents when they're young and first in love?
I suppose.
Hey, did you ever walk in on your parents when they were,
When they were, what?
doing it?
Oh, please, God, how could you put that image in my head so soon after pizza?
My husband had huge feet. And on my wedding night, I found out that what they say about men with big feet is true. They need big shoes. Now, I swear to you that this is true. Before I was married, I'd seen paintings of naked men and statues of naked men, but my husband was the first real live man I ever saw without his clothes on. So I took one look at him and said, "Well, I guess this makes me the early bird." And never let men measure anything. You know why? Because they all think that this is 7 inches.
I think the night I was conceived was the last time my mother did it. Why? Did you ever walk in on your parents?
No, not even on my own parents.
My husband used to say to me, "What a quickie?" And I'd say, "As opposed to what?" But actually, we had a pretty normal sex life. I'd fake orgasms and he'd fake foreplay.
But, we would always know the morning after that they had done it.
How?
Well, we'd come down from our bedrooms and there would be 2 empty wine glasses on the coffee table. And their favorite song would still be playing on the turntable, "I Couldn't Live Without Your Love" by Petula Clark.
Who?
Petula Clark, a British singer from the 60s.
Oh, To Sir with Love, right?
You were way too young to know To Sir With Love.
Birdie loves old movies, but hates watching them alone. When I was little, she would drag me out of bed in the middle of the night to keep her company while she watched Mildred Pierce.
Didn't you own the VCR?
Of course we own a VCR, Birdie just doesn't know how to work it.
And what was your excuse?
Birdie and I had a deal. If the movie ran past 2 a.m., I didn't have to go to school the next day. I made out like a bandit. Of course I paid a terrible price. I can't do algebra, but I know the plot to An Affair to Remember. Okay, Birdie wakes me up in the middle of the night. I must be like, 11? And we watch Where the Boys Are. College girls on spring break in Fort Lauderdale, all of whom find love at first sight. Except Yvette Manu. She gets raped by Yates. Yeah, you should have seen Birdie trying to explain that one to me. Anyway, Dolores Hart is sitting there on the beach with George Hamilton, and I'm talking young, handsome, to die for George Hamilton, not like old Nahai George Hamilton. And instead of just asking Dolores her name, he draws a question mark in the sand.
And doesn't he do that again at the end of the movie?
Exactly, and that's how you know they're going to be together forever. Anyways, that movie really did a number on my head, and now you were explaining this into me.
Well, Petula Clark, downtown, don't sleep in the subway?
Oh, right. She was in Finian's Ring.
Yeah, now you got it. See, back in the old days, we had these discs pressed out of vinyl called record.
Oh my God, tell me more, Grandpa, tell me more.
Some were 33 1/3, and some were 45.
Like your age?
Smart ass. Good thing I didn't say 78.
Was this back in the days when you had to walk to school uphill, both ways in the snow?
As a matter of fact, there was. We played these records on things called stereos or even hi-fi.
Oh, you're making this up, right?
And if you want this record to play over and over again, you move the arm that held the record in place away from the spindle on the turntable. So that's how we know my parents had spent the night making love and wake up to the sounds of "I Couldn't Live Without Your Love"
By Lulu.
Petula Clark.
It was a joke.
Can I ask you something?
You can ask. I don't have to answer.
Out of all those good-looking young guys that night, why did you pick me?
Why? Because you're old.
Well, let's say older, shall we?
I got tired of dating men whose idea of a movie classic was something starring Emilio Estevez and Molly Ringwald. And then there were your eyes.
What about them?
You had this haunted look to you. Like a Laurence Olivier where there were kids. There I thought is a man with a story.
You know, to me, planning for a future meant a home, a family. But to my ex-husband, planning for the future meant buying 2 cases of beer instead of 1. When we first got married, my husband drove a BMW. Later, he brought a GTO, then a BMW. I finally figured out that he only drove cars he could spell. When I got married, my mother told me that marriage is a 3-ring circus. First the engagement ring, then the wedding ring, and then the suffering.
Now, may I ask you something?
You can ask, but I don't have to answer.
Where have I heard that before?
I can't imagine.
Why don't we ever go to your place? I mean, I'd love to see it.
I don't know. It's just, I always think it's more convenient to be here.
Oh.
The one good thing that did come out of my marriage was my son. I like being a mom. Do you know why it takes 1 million sperm to fertilize 1 egg? Because they're men. They don't stop for directions. Pregnancy isn't easy, is it, ladies? Do you have children? Did you have cravings when you were pregnant? Oh, I did. I kept craving that it was the men who could get pregnant. But I don't think men can handle childbirth. If men could get pregnant, abortion would be available in convenience stores and drive-through windows. And having been through childbirth, I now know the perfect time for an epidural. The minute you find out you're pregnant. My son, Matty, oh, he hates that I call him Matty. He lives in New York City. Matty is gay. Now he's dating a married man, and I worry. Because Matty's idea of safe sex is a padded headboard.
We've been seeing each other for, what, 3 weeks now?
About that, I'd say.
And they've never met any of your friends.
Because I just want to keep you all to myself.
Yeah, well, I'd really like to meet them.
Okay.
When?
What one?
I never knew what real happiness was until I got married, and then it was too late. What do you call a woman who knows where her husband is every night? A widow. When I found out my husband was cheating on me, I decided to go in for some personal improvement. I lost 170 pounds of ugly fat. Yeah, I divorced him.
So your father cheated on Bert?
Yes, with a woman he met on a business trip. Pretty soon, he was going on a lot of business trips. Yeah, my mother never forgave him. In fact, she divorced him, and I was forbidden to see him. Actually, no, I didn't want to see him. I blamed him for the divorce.
How old were you?
14, 15, maybe.
What was your dad like?
I don't know, I guess you'd say he was a man's man. Chewed nails, spit rust, built his own business from the ground up. Big sports fan too. He really, really wanted to be an athlete.
But you didn't want it.
No, I wanted to paint. God love him though. He really tried. All I had to do was mention the sport and the equipment would appear. Like I could say, we can't use the gym for the art show because the basketball team is practicing. And the next day would appear a basketball in my bedroom. I had a closet full of unused equipment, you name it. Boxing gloves, bowling shoes, tennis racket, baseball mitt, golf gloves, hockey stick, shoulder pads, even a cup. If I were short enough to be a jockey, I'm pretty sure he would have bought me a horse. So, suppose I was probably something of a disappointment to him.
No, don't be silly. I thought you were his son.
I should have known he was cheating because he began showering regularly. And of course, he found a much younger woman. He was still attractive, you know. And I used to often wonder how he kept his youth. But then I found out. He was giving her diamonds and furs. But when a woman steals your husband, there's no better revenge than to let her keep him. So, I'm divorced. How many divorced men does it take to screw in a light bulb? None. The men never get to keep the house. And statistics show that today, half of all marriage end in divorce. But you know, that's not so bad when you consider that the other half ends in death. My ex-husband is dead, and my mother always taught me to only say good things about the dead. So here goes. My ex-husband is dead. Good.
Not long after that, my father discovered that he had a rare form of cancer, kind of leukemia. It was untreatable, and it was gone.
I'm so sorry, man.
There was my mother with all this anger and no one to vent to. Her therapist suggested that she find an outlet for her hostility to give her closure. God, I hate that word. So she became a stand-up. Her act consists mostly of insulting my dad and bashing men in general. She has a small but fiercely loyal following. Divorced soccer moms, mostly. You can always tell when she's playing a show because of the caravan of minivans in the parking lot. You know, I begged her to stop, but she wouldn't. So I did the next best thing.
Which was?
I got her to drop our last name and then I moved 3,000 miles away.
Look, I mean, she can't be too bad if her agent got her booked here in New York.
Her agent is my Uncle Lou, who's a dress buyer from Macy's. He gets her lots of jobs. Mostly because she doesn't really care about the pay for her performing his therapy.
Was it helping? Does it give her closure?
No, I don't think so. Besides, it's embarrassing to me. Why couldn't she just spend her last years drowning in bitterness and Chardonnay like all the other divorced women?
I don't think marriage will ever work. You want to know why? Because a woman wants one man to satisfy her every need, but a man wants every woman to satisfy his one need. If you want to find a committed man, look at a mental institution. You know, when a woman turns 35, she thinks about having children. But when a man turns 35, he thinks about dating children. Did you know that 80% of married men cheat in America? 80%! The other 20% just cheat in Europe. God knows my husband cheated on me. Why do men cheat? For the same reason dogs lick their balls. Because they can.
You know, Bertie said the funniest thing about you the other day.
No, what's that?
She gets her married.
Oh?
So, are you
Am I what?
married?
Well, yes. Well, what? I mean, no.
Okay, which is it?
Well, I was married. Well, sort of, but I'm not anymore.
What was her name?
His name was Eric. We met in college and we were together for 15 years.
His name was Eric?
He died 5 years ago.
I'd like to close tonight with a little story. 11 people are clinging to a rope under a helicopter. 10 men and 1 woman. Now the rope isn't strong enough to carry all of them, so it's decided that 1 person would have to drop off in order to save the other 10. Of course, no one wants to volunteer for that job. But finally, the woman says she would let go because, as a woman, she is used to giving up everything for her husband, for her kids, for all the men in her life. So when she finishes her speech, the 10 men, who have been clutching so tightly to the rope, are so moved that they begin to applaud her. Thank you so much. My name is Bertie. Be good to your bartenders and servers because they can spit in your drinks. Good night.
Kale, you don't have to talk about this.
No, Matt. Look, you deserve to know why I back into Springs was we met. And, look, Eric was coming out of work at his accounting firm and he was hit and killed by a taxi. I came out of nowhere as he was crossing Madison Avenue.
I'm sorry.
The last 5 years have been like I'm falling all the time, but I just never land. I keep waiting to hit the ground, but I don't. I just keep falling, just clutching at the air.
Kale.
Look, you're the first person I've gone out with since then. I like you so much, Matt, but that's why I haven't had you to the apartment or to meet any of my friends. Why leave before sex is over? Look, it's crazy, I know, but I can't stop feeling like I'm cheating on Eric. That's why I've been reciting the multiplication table for God's sake, to try to push him out of my mind, even just for a moment. But he always comes back. And then I just keep feeling guilty or trying to forget him.
I mean, I'm sure he'd want you to move on with your life.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Don't be silly, just stay.
No, I just can't talk about this anymore. But please, just understand. I need to be alone right now, okay?
Okay.
Cal quickly exits. Matt follows as far as the door.
Will you call me?
Slowly, Matt closes the door. The telephone rings. He answers. Lights up on Bertie on her cell phone.
Hello, Bertie. Your timing is impeccable.
Did you ask him?
You're the one with the hidden camera. You tell me.
So you didn't.
As a matter of fact, I did.
And? Oh, I was right, wasn't I?
You were half right.
What do you mean?
He's not married, but he was in a relationship for a very long time.
How long?
15 years?
Is that in gay years?
What are gay years?
You know, like dog years, but different.
How so?
Well, 1 calendar year is like 7 years in the life of a dog, but being together for a week is like a calendar year to you gay guys. So if Kale and this guy were together for 15 years, well, geez, that would just be like, I don't know, 6 months on the calendar tops.
Can I tell you, Bertie, of all the ridiculous things I've heard you say, this really takes the cake.
You mean they were really together for 15 years?
Yes.
15 years? Oh my God, Maddie, how old is this Kale?
I told you he was older.
You certainly did not. How old? Like 35?
Give or take.
Which is it? Give or take?
Give.
40? Maddie?
Give some more.
41?
Oh my God, he's 45, Mother. He's 45, all right?
40? Maddie, he's old enough to be...
My father?
I wasn't going to say
No.
that. No. I was going to say uncle.
Uncle Lou is 68.
Oh, okay. Kale is old enough to be your father.
What's your point?
There is no point. I was just stating a fact. So, what happened? Did Kale's partner leave him for a younger man and now Kale's trying to get even?
No. Look, his lover died 5 years ago. And it's not what you're thinking.
What was I thinking?
That he died of AIDS.
Well, the mother has a right to worry.
You don't have to. Kale's lover was hit and killed crossing the street, so you don't have to worry about that, so I'm pretty sure it's not communicable.
Oh, Maddie, that's so bad.
I feel so sorry for Kale.
And it's bad for you, Maddie.
Why is it so bad for me?
Because, face it, the dead don't make any mistakes. How can you compete with the dead?
Blackout. Act 1, Scene 4. 1 week later, Bertie is performing her act. We can also see Matt working on a painting in his apartment.
Well, I have finally figured out that. Now, ladies, you might want to take notes, okay? Ready? Here goes. Nice men are ugly. Handsome men are not nice. Handsome and nice men are gay. Handsome, nice, and heterosexual men are married. Are you getting all this now? Write it down? Okay, good. Men who are not so handsome but are nice have no money. Men who are not so handsome but are nice with money think we're only after their money. But, oh wait, there's more.
A knock at the apartment door. Matt answers. It is Cale.
Long time no see.
I know.
Don't just stand there, come on in.
Thanks.
Cale enters, sees a new painting.
I like this. It's new, isn't it?
Yeah, had a lot of free time on my hands this past week.
I needed time to think.
Well, what did you decide?
I think we went too fast. Well, for me, I got scared.
Okay.
I thought if we backed up a little and took it slowly.
I don't know, can you?
Can I do what?
Keep your hands off me?
Sure.
Really?
Yes. Who the hell am I kidding?
Cale and Matt race to each other and begin kissing passionately. Lights out on the apartment, back to Bertie.
Handsome men without money are after our money. Handsome men who are not so nice and somewhat heterosexual, they don't think we're beautiful enough. Men who think we're beautiful, that are heterosexual, somewhat nice, and have money are cowards. Men who are somewhat handsome, somewhat nice, and have some money, and they're heterosexual, are shy and will never make the first move. Men who never make the first move automatically lose interest in us when we take the initiative. And that's what I understand about men. That, and they're like spray paint. One squeeze and they're all over you. Sleeping with a man is like a soap opera. Just when it gets interesting, it's all over till the next time.
Back to the apartment. Matt and Cale are in each other's arms after sex.
That was great.
Yeah, so much for taking it slowly.
Don't have sex for 5 years and see how fast you go. Plus you wouldn't let me recite the periodic chart.
Tell me about Eric.
What?
I want to hear about Eric. What was he like?
Men are also like mascara. They both run at the first sign of emotion.
You ever notice that funny bump on my toe?
Yes, but I was trying to be polite.
Well, you know what caused it?
I was guessing it was a genetic defect.
No.
Good, I mean, I'd hate for our children to have something like that.
This from a man with a funny ear.
I do not have funny ears.
Whatever you have to tell yourself to face the world.
Alright, so what caused your hideously deformed foot?
Actually, I caused it.
What, you just willed yourself to be deformed?
No. It happened when I was just a kid in Catholic school.
Wait, are you telling me the nuns did that to you?
In a roundabout sort of way. But you know, they taught us that suffering made us closer to God. You know, I was just a kid, I mean, from a pretty normal family. I mean, what did I know of suffering? But I wanted to be closer to God, so I walked around for the longest time with a pebble in my penny loafers.
Sorry. In your what?
My penny loafers, they were kind of a slip-on shoe.
No, I had to wear loafers for school too. You know, I never learned how to tie my shoes until I was 9.
Until you were 9? But were you slow?
Hey, even as a child, my mind was more for the creative versus the logical.
We're talking about time shoes, not nuclear physics.
Okay, this is from the man who puts pebbles in his loafers.
All right. Look, so I walked around, and, well, howled, actually, until my mother asked me what was wrong. I mean, by then, I had that lump on my toe.
And did you feel closer to God?
I don't know. But But it did make me want to become a podiatrist.
Oh my God, good thing you didn't stick something up your ass. Today you'd be a proctologist.
Yeah, very funny. Maybe you should try stand-up.
Matt gets out of bed.
Ooh, I get a nerve.
All right, I'll make you a deal. I'll tell you a story I've never told anyone if you tell me about Eric.
Yeah.
But what? It's a fair deal.
Fair enough, I suppose. I'm ready.
All right. Remember how I told you my father got sick right after the divorce? Well, my mother knew, but she didn't tell me. I was at school one day, and they called me into the office. You know, I thought they finally figured out who did the spray paint graffiti mural in the boys' room, but when I was there, this woman was waiting for me. Her name was Vivian. She was my father's friend.
The woman he left Birdie for?
Yeah, right. So she said we had to talk, so we went outside, and Vivian offered me a cigarette, which I accepted.
Very cool.
I mean, how many of my classmates got to hang outside of school smoking cigarettes with their father's mistress? She told me that my dad was ill, so if I ever wanted to see him again, I better do it fast.
So, what did you do?
I told her I had to think about it. She told me not to take too long making up my mind, and she gave me his room number at the hospital and left. Of course I didn't. I couldn't tell my mother about it. I was up all night trying to decide what to do. I mean, I hated him for what he did. But he was still my father, and if Vivian was to be believed, he was dying. Well, finally I went to school, and the next morning, armed with a forged excuse for a dentist appointment, and I walked out of my art class, hopped on a bus for downtown, and I got to the hospital, and I found the room. But when I walked in, yeah, I was sure I was in the wrong place because the frail-looking man in the bed couldn't have possibly been my father. He opened his eyes and he said, Matt, is that you? I was stunned. I didn't answer for a moment. Thank you for coming to see me. I sat down next to the bed. He said, I suppose Vivian told you about... His voice broke off. Yes, I said. He said that from the window he could see the mountains. And after a minute, he said, I like this room. And I said, well, what do you like about a hospital room? He said, from the window I could see the mountains. And he knew his parents were buried up there, in the cemetery on top of the mountain. And I'm going to be with them again soon, he said. God, I can't take it anymore. Yeah, I just broke down. I put my head on his chest and I said, I'm so sorry, Daddy, for everything. And then I said I would give anything in the world for him to be well again. And he said, I know, son, I know. And I begged him to go to another hospital so he could get well again. And he said no. He said, it's over now. And he told me that he set up a trust fund for me and that I could use it to pursue my art or go to school or travel if that's what I wanted to do. Life's too short, he said. We stayed like that for a really long time. My head on his chest with him stroking my hair. And the nurse came in to take his blood pressure, got something, and I dried my eyes. And he said, you're going to have to keep your chin up, son, if we're going to get through this. And I told him I would try. You better get going, he said. We don't want your mother to know you're here. So I leaned in and I kissed him, and I walked out. I left and I never looked back. I couldn't. So I caught a bus and I was home at 3:30 as if I'd been at school all day. You know, the next time I saw him was in a coffin. Birdie didn't even tell me that he was dead. I read about it in the newspaper. She didn't even go to the funeral. I had to catch a ride from the neighbor, Mrs. Bales. I'm sorry, Kayla, I've never told anyone that story.
Why are you telling me?
Why do you think?
The 3 worst words you can say to a man in bed? I love you. Well, that or are you in?
Now, tell me about Eric.
Matt.
But you promised.
No. I said it was a fair deal. I never agreed to it.
Dale.
Look, I don't think you have the slightest idea. You have any idea how difficult this is for me. Madam, I'm sorry.
So next week, I'll be performing in New York City. I hear it's very expensive there. In fact, a businessman walks into a New York City bank. He tells the loan officer that he's going to Europe for a week and he needs to borrow $5,000. The loan officer says the businessman would have to have some kind of collateral for the loan, so the businessman hands the loan officer the keys to his Rolls Royce. Everything checks out, so a bank employee drives the Rolls into the bank's underground garage, and the businessman gets his check for $5,000. 2 weeks later, the businessman returns. He repays the loan, as well as the interest of $15.50. So the loan officer says to the businessman, as much as we appreciate your business, why did you have to borrow $5,000? We checked you out and you're a multi-millionaire. And the businessman replies, yeah, I know, but where else in New York City could I park the car for 2 weeks for 15 bucks?
Isn't Bertie coming in next week?
Yes, but
Do I get to meet her?
no.
Why not?
You won't tell me about Eric, so you can't meet my mother.
He was an accountant.
I know that, and that you met him in college.
What can I say? Look, he was wonderful. He made me laugh. He was a genius when it came to numbers. I'd probably be broke today if it weren't for his investment advice. Are these the things that you want to know?
I don't know.
What do you want to know? That he was handsome, a great kisser, good in bed.
I just wanted to know.
He graduated at the top of his class. He was originally from Ohio. He preferred briefs to boxers. Now, can I meet your mother?
No.
Sometimes, Eric, you can be so stubborn.
What did you just say?
I said you're stubborn, and you are.
You called me Eric.
I did? Look, I'm sorry, I slipped. Look, I better go.
Okay.
Look, I'm sorry.
Fine.
And remember, when a man says I'll call, it means, yeah, I'll be calling someone else.
I'll call you.
Sure.
Cale exits. Matt goes to his easel, grabs a brush, and begins to paint furiously. Lights stay up on Matt, and we also see Bertie.
Hey, if you're in New York next week, come and see me at the Laugh-O-Mat. Thank you and good night.
Blackout, end of Act 1. Act 2, Scene 1, the apartment, the following week. Bertie is there. She is looking at some of Matt's paintings while Matt is making tea.
So, why didn't Uncle Lou come with you?
Oh, you know what Uncle Lou is like when his goiter acts up.
I'm so glad I brought it up.
Oh, Maddie, this is interesting.
And by interesting, you mean what?
Well, I wouldn't hang it over myself in the living room. Why can't you paint something a person would want to hang over herself in the living room?
Okay, what do you suggest?
You know, like a nice beach scene or landscape or...
A bowl of fruit or some flowers?
Exactly.
Because it would bore me.
But it might be something that someone might actually want to buy.
I don't paint for money, Mother.
Well, you're gonna have to start someday, won't you?
Maybe it's time to change the subject.
Just as soon as you tell me what I want to know.
It really galls you that you don't know how much money Father left me in that trust fund, doesn't it?
Oh, I don't care what your father did. It galls me that my son doesn't see fit to tell me how much is in the trust fund. Was it more than he let the slut?
If by slut you mean Vivian, I don't know.
Oh, come on, why won't you tell me?
Maybe because you didn't tell me that my father was dying?
It's been 10 years now, Maddie. There is such a thing as forgiveness, you know?
It's been 10 years since Dad left you. There's such thing as forgiveness, you know.
That was different.
How is it different?
Maybe you're right. It's a good thing to change the subject. How was Kale?
Another good time to change the subject.
Is he not well?
I wouldn't know.
Did you two have another fight?
Kale tends to walk out before we actually fight, so I haven't heard from him in a week.
Oh, the dead boyfriend again, huh?
Yes, again.
You know, I was thinking of how much this thing with Kale reminds me of Rebecca.
Rebecca who?
Not Rebecca who? Rebecca the book and the movie.
Sorry, never saw it.
Are you sure? None of our late night movie marathons? Jeez, it's a gay man's wet dream.
I think I would remember. So why does Rebecca remind you of Kale and me?
Well, Laurence Olivier plays Maxim de Winter, a dashing and mysterious widower. just like Kale. And Joan Fontaine plays this mousy, bookish kind of secretary.
I'm guessing that's me.
And they fall in love, and Olivia marries Joan. And of course, you and Kale did whatever.
Don't worry, Mother. It was very educational. Even periodic table was involved.
Well, that's odd, even for New York City. Anyway, neither one of them can escape the power of Maxim's dead wife, Rebecca. It hangs like a ghostly presence over Joan especially. How beautiful Rebecca was, how clever, how charming, how smart.
Replace the name Rebecca with Eric, and yeah, you've got my story all right.
See? But there is a deep, dark secret that Maxim de Winter is harboring about his dead wife. What no one knows is that... Wait, are you planning to see this?
Well, I better if I want to keep my homosexual status.
Okay, so I won't ruin it for you. But it's one hell of a secret. You know, I remember when I was reading the book back in high school, I just couldn't put it down. In fact, I hid it behind my textbook in trigonometry class so I could keep reading. So, right there, in the middle of trig, I got to the secret, and I was just so engrossed in the book, I forgot where I was, and I screamed, "Oh my God!" Well, I look up, and the entire class, including Mr. Kendrake, our teacher, is looking at me. And there was just this ungodly silence, and everyone just staring at me. So I just said, "Oh my God, our tangents are made."
Very smooth, Bertie.
Yeah, I thought so.
So, wait, how is this like Halo?
Let's just say that Rebecca de Winter wasn't as wonderful as everyone thought she was. She was always so great because she was dead. Everyone just chose to remember her as being so perfect.
So what you're saying is that maybe Eric wasn't so perfect? It's just like that because he's dead?
Yeah, you gotta be a saint to be, you gotta be dead to be a saint. Catholics won't even think about it until you're dead, like 10 years or more.
A knock at the door.
You didn't tell me you were expecting company.
No.
I'll get it.
Another knock.
I thought you said you were going to be it.
Give me a second.
Bertie reaches for her purse, pulls out a lipstick, applies some.
For all you know, Mother, it's some crack whore making sure I'm not home.
Well, it never hurts to leave your bed. Okay, I'm ready.
Bertie goes to the door, peers out the peephole.
Are you expecting flowers?
No.
Bertie opens the door. It is Cal with flowers and some champagne.
I was looking for Matt.
I'm his mother.
Bertie? I'm Kale. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Well, I can't imagine why Matt has been keeping you a secret.
It's a game we like to play. Kale and I love keeping secrets, don't we?
I hope I'm not interrupting.
I thought we were going to call.
It's been a really busy week at the office.
What? A rash of life-threatening ingrown toenails, emergency hammer toe operations?
Something like that.
Are those for me?
Bertie takes the flowers.
Well, actually,
Oh, I can't remember the last time I got flowers. Hint, hint.
Oh, I promise to send you flowers when you die.
Oh, that's good, Maddie. I'll have to try and work that into my act tonight. Here, Maddie, put these in water. If you have a decent base.
I'll see what I can come up with.
Oh, you brought champagne for my New York opening. Oh, Kale, how thoughtful. Why drink this damn herbal tea when we've got champagne? Maddie, don't just stand there. Crack open that bottle.
I know where I'd like to crack it.
let me help.
Oh, nonsense, Kale. You just sit right down here while we get acquainted.
Oh, sure. Why not?
I didn't know she was going to be here.
Right.
Kale, I'm waiting.
He's on his way, Bertie.
Matt takes the flowers and the champagne to the kitchen area while Bertie and Cal chat.
So, how was your trip?
Flying is so difficult nowadays. All that security.
Yeah, I know.
And no matter how many times I begged that handsome young security guard to strip search me, he just wouldn't. You know, I know how to end terrorism. Send in an army of middle-aged women. We've spent a lifetime tracking down cheating husbands in bars and motels. Finding bin Laden would be nothing. And speaking of middle-aged, Nellie tells me you're 45. You certainly don't look it.
Well, thank you.
And I told Kale that you were a bitch, but you don't look it either.
So, what do you think of Matt's paintings?
Well, I'm not very knowledgeable about art. All I can really say is, you need the gas to make the van go.
Jesus.
Matt brings over a tray of 3 mismatched glasses of champagne.
Using the fine crystal I see.
The good styrofoams at the dry cleaners.
A toast to Birdie's New York City debut.
Whatever.
Bottoms up!
The men drink.
Well, I bet that's not the first time you heard that, anybody?
I can see where Matt gets a sense of humor.
Well, he certainly didn't get it from his father.
Birdie!
There was a reason his blonde jokes were all so short, so he could remember them. Ooh, this is very good, Kale. You have excellent taste in champagne.
And men.
And exactly what are your intentions regarding my son?
His intentions? What is this? Jody loves Chachi?
I just want to know that the man is not using you like some
Horse.
slut,
Street trade.
cowboy,
Hustler.
red boy,
Tramp.
floozy,
Hartland.
troll.
Hussy.
Oh, excuse me, I'm still in the room.
Women, Kale. Oh, I've got to quit playing this game with gay guys.
But as far as my intentions go, I was in a serious relationship for many years.
Yes, Matt was telling me about your former partner. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
He sounds like he was a wonderful man.
He was.
But I bet he did some things that really drove you crazy, right?
Oh my god, Mother, I don't think Kale really wants to talk about this right now.
Was there something special that you wanted to know, Birdie?
No, it's just, I was married for a long time myself, and I know from experience that no man is perfect.
No. Merrick wasn't perfect, but he was close.
You're lucky. My husband, well, that is my ex-husband. Well, my late
Oh my god,
ex-husband.
Birdie, please don't start.
Daddy's right. Why spoil it when you'll be seeing my act tonight?
No, we aren't.
We won't.
No, we're not going.
Oh, why not? This is my New York City debut. God knows I went to all your little art shows and sat through all those horrible school concerts. Gail, did you know that Maddie played the tuba in the elementary school orchestra?
Really? You played the tuba?
Briefly.
I wouldn't say briefly if you had to listen to him practice. It seemed like an eternity. And now, you can't even come to hear my 15-minute set.
I'm not going.
You can't or you won't.
Both?
Come on, Matt.
No.
Look, I'll go too.
And I can try out my new podiatrist joke. I added it just for you, Carol. And don't think it was easy. You know, I had to find one of those. You would have made my life a lot easier if you were a lawyer. A ton of lawyer jokes.
Matt, it'll be fun.
That's right. Fun.
Fun? I don't think you see what a precarious position I'm in.
I don't want to hear the intimate details of your sex life.
I'm not talking about my sex life, I'm talking about the both of you.
Well, I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god, let me spell it out plainly for you. You can't stop hating a dead man, and you can't stop loving a dead man, and I'm the one caught in the middle. I'm the one paying the price. Is that clear enough for the both of you?
Perhaps I should go so you two can settle this.
Okay, sure, fine, go, whatever. That's what you've always done. You open the door to let me in a little, and then you slam it shut. Over and over and over again, and then you show up for pizza or flowers, and it's supposed to make it okay. Well, it doesn't make it okay anymore.
Well, this certainly has awkward moments.
Birdie, it was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Kale, for the champagne. It was very thoughtful.
I hope to see you again.
Me too.
Under happier circumstances.
Kale exits.
Well, he seems nice.
And saying that is supposed to just make everything better.
Oh, I'm nervous enough about tonight. And now you're not even gonna come to see me.
But to see you what? Hold up the tragedies of our life as fodder for the public ridicule, degrade and humiliate my father to total strangers? You know, most of the things that you say about him aren't even true.
Well, do you think Phyllis Diller's husband was really named Fang? It comes with the territory.
You make people believe that my father is some stupid, beer-guzzling, low-life moron with a small dick who hewed his nails, was lousy in bed, and spent his entire day burping and farting.
So I embellished a little.
A little? More like a character assimilation. My dad was a corporate giant who employed hundreds of people. He wore Italian suits, belonged to a country club. He raised money for all different kinds of charities.
You're just like him. You turned a dead man into a saint. Your father was no saint. Remember? He cheated on me.
So he cheated on you.
So you have no idea what I went through. I gave that man the best years of my life. I gave that man my youth. Hell, I gave him my middle age, too. Maddie, your father was the only man I ever loved. I know, it seems embarrassing to admit this nowadays, but he was the only man I've ever been to bed with. Unlike you, who sleep with, what, hundreds?
Try a dozen.
Huh. When your father left me, it was almost more than I could bear. I just kept thinking, why did he stop loving me? Had I changed or done something wrong? Had he ever really loved me at all? It was more than hurt. It was anguish. I wanted to die. I even tried to kill myself. You didn't know that, did you? You left for school one morning, and I swallowed a bottle of pills. I would have died, too, if that nosy Brenda Bales from next door hadn't come by collecting for Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. There's irony for you. The woman was an alcoholic.
Mrs. Bales was an alcoholic?
Oh, major blush. She should have been president of Drunks Against Mad Mothers.
And so what? I was just supposed to come home and find you dead? That's great.
I never would have done that to you. Kiki Lindborg was supposed to come and pick me up for golf that day at noon. I figured she could find me. Would serve her right for making me watch the video of her daughter giving birth. Why do people film such things?
I'm sure I don't know.
I didn't want to see my own placenta, not all the total strangers. Oh, this fuss about natural childbirth. Why can't women do what I did with you? Have the doctor drug me at the first labor pain and wake me up after you arrived?
Wait, I remember now. Was this when the Methodist Ladies Church Auxiliary Guild was taking that bus trip to Las Vegas?
Yes, and we told you there was a last-minute cancellation that they offered to me?
Yeah.
And you fell for it? Oh, God, you were a gullible kid. What would Methodists be doing in Vegas? They're not even allowed to camp.
Okay, well, forgive me for being 15.
So, I wasn't in Vegas after all. No. I was in the psych ward at St. Veronica's Hospital. See, when you try to off yourself, they gotta put you in the psych ward, you know, for observation.
You know, I was wondering why you never brought me a souvenir.
What would you want? A bedpan?
I don't know, how about a shirt that reads, "My mother went crazy," and all I got was this lousy t-shirt?
Laugh if you want to, but let me tell you, there isn't a lot to do in the loony ward except think. And I had so much rage inside me and nowhere to vent it. Your father had died. Don't you see that? I have to do the stand-up. It's my release valve, my way of evening the score with him. Oh, God, look at the time. I better get going if I'm going to get my nap before the show.
You haven't listened to a single word I've said, have you?
Fix my hair, press my outfit.
I'm not going.
The show starts at 9. I go up second on the bill, so don't be late.
I'm not going.
Wish me luck.
I'm not going.
Blackout. Act 2, Scene 2. The apartment that evening. Matt is busy at his easel. A knock at the door. Matt does nothing. The knocking continues.
Matt, it's Kale. Please let me in.
Matt quickly hides the canvas he was working on.
Just a second.
Matt answers the door.
It really is you.
You're expecting someone?
No, I was just afraid you were Birdie.
I wasn't sure you'd be here.
Where would I be?
I don't know. I thought you might have changed your mind about going to Birdie's show.
Sorry, nope. But if you want to go.
I thought about what you said, Matt, and you're right. Look, I haven't been fair to you. It's best that I don't come around anymore, at least not until I'm completely over Eric.
It's already been 5 years. How much longer do you think it's going to take?
I don't know.
Okay, well, maybe I'm not willing to wait that long. Maybe I'll have found someone else. Who knows? Maybe I'll be dead. Then what are you going to do?
I don't know.
Are you willing to take that risk of losing me?
No, but
And I'm not willing to take the risk of losing you.
what are you saying?
Look, you already told me something that really hit home. You said that you and I are a lot alike.
How so?
We've both Rebecca-sized people.
I beg your pardon.
You know that movie, Rebecca?
Yeah, Lawrence Olivier, Joan Fontaine?
Yeah, well, apparently everyone's seen it, Bucky. Yes, that Rebecca. You know, I think the longer we keep making saints out of dead people, the less likely we're going to be able to accept the flawed living people. You know, I'm not saying it very well. The point is, I want to try, Caleb. I want to try and make what we have work.
I don't know if I can go through it again. I mean, losing Eric was just too hard.
Wait, do you want me to promise not to die? Fine, I promise I won't die.
Pretty big promise to keep.
Not really, you've got 20 years on me, the odds are in my favor. And if I don't keep my promise, what are you gonna do about it? Kill me too late, I already did it.
And now that you mentioned it, it would increase the value of your paintings. I could end up a very rich man.
You're already rich.
I didn't even richer man.
But only if I leave my paintings to you, and there's one way that's gonna happen, so... What do you say, Caleb?
I only have a second. I've got a car waiting for me down the stairs, which in this neighborhood is no easy task. I had to bribe the driver. He doesn't speak much English, you know. I might have said I'd have sex with him. I'm not sure.
Don't you believe in knocking?
Why? Am I interrupting something? Besides, this is New York. You should keep your door locked.
Birdie, I don't think they've made a lock that can keep you out.
I'm sure you meant that as a compliment. Hello, Kale.
Hello, Birdie.
Kale and I were in the middle of something.
Well, you're both dressed, so it couldn't be anything good. Listen, I forgot to leave your tickets when I was here this afternoon. No point in paying, you can get comps, right? So come to my show.
Tickets? You mean we're not on a list?
Okay, there are no tickets, but I just needed an excuse to come back and ask you one last time to come see my show. You get in for free. It's not going to cost you anything.
That's what you think.
What do you mean?
I mean that your hatred of Dad is costing me my memories of him. The bad things you say are pushing the good ones out, replacing them.
Oh, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
When Dad died, people told me that it would make things better. That time would make things better. It only makes things worse. You know, every day that passes, I'm one day further away from Dad, and it gets harder and harder for me to remember all the details. Do you know, I stood at the cemetery there the day of his funeral with my hand on his casket, and I cannot remember the color of his casket. You know, why can't I remember the color of his casket?
It was gray.
What?
It was gray. Gunmetal gray.
But how do you...
I was there. I was hiding behind that god-awful Jadrizhalowski family monument. Now, there are people who didn't understand the concept of less is more. Of course, just the name Jadrizhalowski alone could fit on an outfit of a small monument.
But why?
Because it's a long name. It's got to be 60 letters.
That's not what I meant.
Well, I was hiding because I didn't want anyone to see me at the funeral.
Well, why were you even there?
My car's waiting.
Why were you
I'm
there?
leaving.
No!
Coming or not?
No!
Kale?
I'm sorry, Bertie, I can't. I need to support Matt in his decision.
Well, I don't have time to stand here and argue anymore. The meter is running and I might have to put up with some Pakistani guy. Come to the show, don't come to the show. I don't even care anymore.
Bertie, wait.
Maddie, I don't have the time.
You say you do the stand-up to even the score with Dad, but has it even the score? Can you honestly say that your comedy routine makes you feel any better? Because I can't. You know, to me, you still seem like the same angry, bitter woman, only worse.
Well, that's a fine thing to say to your mother.
Well, you keep washing your dirty linen in public, and I don't see it getting any cleaner, do you? Just stop wallowing in your past and let it go and just move on with your life. If you can't do that for yourself, do it for me, please.
I will.
Bertie exits quickly.
Thank you, Kale, for understanding.
I'm not sure I really understand, but I'm here for you, Matt. And if we're going to make this work,
Wait, then you're willing?
since you've already promised not to die, it seems like the least I could do, right?
Alright, so what do we do now?
You know what I want to do?
We're not going to my mother's show. How about a movie?
Do you know what I miss most about Eric?
What?
The day before he died, he called me from work and asked me to meet him for dinner. I just got home and I didn't feel like putting my shoes back on and going out again, so we argued. When we got home later, we still weren't speaking, or the next morning for that matter, and he was gone. So what I missed most about Eric was that I had the chance to have dinner with him one last time, and I didn't.
Why are you telling me this?
What do you think?
Blackout. Act 2, Scene 3. Lights up on Bertie on stage at a New York City nightclub.
Well, it's great to be here in New York City. Oh, I know, you don't see women my age on stage, but you should. We've experienced life and we've got wisdom to share. You know, women are smarter than men. Let me give you an example. A single man found out he was going to inherit a fortune when his terminally ill father died. So, one night he walks into a singles bar and spots the most beautiful woman he has ever seen. I mean, she takes his breath away. And he says, you know, I may be just an average-looking guy, he says, but in a week or two when my father dies, I'll inherit $20 million. Well, the beautiful woman is so impressed that she goes home with the guy. And then 3 days later, she became his stepmother. I'm finally back in the dating game since my divorce. And let me tell you, women are at a disadvantage when it comes to dating. Women will never be equal to men until they can walk down the street with a bald head and a beer gut and still think they're attracted to the opposite sex. Let me tell you, the only difference between singles bars and a circus is that at the circus, the clowns don't talk. One thing all the guys at the singles bar have in common: they're all married. What is it with men? They never seem to grow up. You know, that's the difference between men and savings bonds. The bonds eventually mature. Truthfully, I'm looking for a banker, because not only are they rich, but they make better lovers. See, they know firsthand about the penalty for early withdrawal. My ex-husband cheated on me. Oh yeah, but he was also rich, and I found out what to give the man who has everything: penicillin. You know, my ex-husband was uncircumcised, so yeah, that's right. He was a complete dick. Why? Sorry. Wait, let me start over. My ex-husband was such a... My ex-husband I still love him. And I miss him so damn much. My son Maddie was right. Trashing his father in front of all of you isn't making a damn bit of difference. He's still dead. And I still love him. And if Maddie were here, I would tell him that.
I am here.
Maddie? Is that you?
It's me, Mom.
Is Kale with you?
I'm here too, Bertie.
Oh, Maddie, you were right. I thought it was gonna help, but I know now that I was wrong. It's true, I should just let go of this and move on. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Mom. Let's go home.
I didn't get to tell my podiatrist joke. Not for Kale.
Okay, it's all the joke.
Okay, what kind of a vehicle does a podiatrist drive?
I don't know. What kind of vehicle does a podiatrist drive?
A tow truck? A tow truck!
Alright, let's get out of here before people start throwing things at you.
You know, you make a pretty good straight man. Guess there's a first time for everything.
Blackout. Act 2, Scene 4. Back at the apartment, later the same evening. Matt and Kel enter, home from Bertie's show.
Now, forgive me for saying this, but parts of Bertie's acts are funny.
Yeah, you can say that. You haven't lived them.
I'm curious, what made you decide to go?
After that story you told me about not meeting Eric for dinner, how could I not go? And I guess I've come to realize that I have to stop holding the living people to the same standards that I use for dead people, I guess. The living make mistakes, and I have to accept that.
And Bertie came through for you tonight?
It's another thing about living people. They can surprise you. Well. If this was an old movie, this is where you'd light 2 cigarettes and then hand me one.
Yeah. Paul Henry and Betty Davis, now Voyager.
Except neither of us smokes.
This has been an evening to remember.
Make it sound like it's already over.
It is late.
Seattle, it's only 9:30.
Are you sure Bertie's gonna be okay?
She'll be fine. Wait on second thought.
What?
Maybe I should have stayed with her. I mean, it could have been my only chance to stay a night at a Ritz-Carlton.
If you want to go to the Ritz-Carlton, I'll take you sometime, but I'm telling you right now, your place has something better than the Ritz-Carlton.
What's that?
You.
Something else that a Ritz-Carlton doesn't have?
What?
This.
Matt shows Kel the canvas he had hidden earlier. Kel takes it from him.
But careful, it's still wet.
Oh my God. I can't believe it. It's Eric.
A lot of internet research. And plus, I stole one of his photos out of your wallet while you weren't looking.
It's beautiful.
I'm afraid you might think it's creepy.
Why do they think that?
I don't know, it's just that I wanted to make a connection with that part of your life. When you paint someone's portrait, you really get to know that person. And since I couldn't take Eric out for coffee, and God knows getting information out of you is like pulling teeth, and since art is what I do, it just seemed right.
Man. Wow. Thank you. If I could be so bold,
Yes.
maybe you can help me find a place to hang it in my apartment.
Really? When?
How about tomorrow?
It's a date. I figured you probably had plenty of photos of him around your place.
I do, but...
So maybe we could hang it here.
Are you sure?
Hey, well, I'm not saying I'm gonna hang you over my bed or anything. Somewhere here.
But why?
Eric and I got to know each other pretty well. Got a lot in common.
And that's all?
And maybe to show you that I'm not asking you to let go of him just to make room for me in your life. I'm willing to share, despite what Miss Ober told me on my first grade report card. Love should be expandable, right? You don't have to stop loving one person to make room for another.
Thank you, Matt. How did someone so young get to be so wise?
Oh, it's that only child thing, having to hang out with grown-ups all my life. It also accounts for my excellent verbal skills.
Your oral skills aren't too shabby.
Wait, there's one more surprise.
Matt heads for his iPod.
I don't know if my heart can take much more.
Just listen.
I couldn't live without your love.
By Petula Clark.
But how?
Well, when I was a boy, we had this thing called downloading music.
Why?
It happened the day after you told me that story about the little boy who put a stone in his petty loafers to make him closer to God. How could I not fall in love with that guy?
How could I not fall in love with a man who downloads Petula Clark for me?
Sorry there's no arm to take off the spindle to make the record play over and over again, but I've got the next best thing.
What's that?
This little button here says repeat. Yeah, I will play all night.
Matt joins Cal on the floor.
This is nice.
It is.
Just needs one more thing.
What's up? You're not gonna recite the multiplication tables again, are you?
No.
Okay, then what?
This.
Cal grabs a brush from a nearby bucket of paint. He paints a question mark on the floor.
I know it's not in the sand like George Hamilton.
No. This is better. It lasts longer.
So, are we going to dance?
Well, I thought you never asked.
Cal and Matt begin to dance as the music swells. Lights fade to black. End of play.
Everybody get up, we're going to do a selfie. Crowd around the front.
Hey, that don't like you sound.